Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Janelle's off tonight. 5 years after failing for the first time, the second chance for a Billings non-discrimination ordinance scuttled almost as quickly as it was introduced. The initiative had the rug pulled from under it by its sponsor, City Councilman Brent Cromley. Back in September, Cromley said he planned to bring the ordinance before the council in mid-October. But in an email sent to Q2, Cromley said he doesn't want to put stress on the LGBTQ community if the ordinance fails to pass. He still supports an NDO for Billings, however, saying Billings still needs to compete with other Montana cities like Helena, Bozeman, and Missoula that all have passed NDOs. Cromley added that in the coming months, the NDO may be considered by the Billings City Council once again. All right, onto the weather scene now. Well, Bob, it finally made it here to Billings. We're seeing a little light snow out there today, but that's not all. It is really cold for the first day of October.
It was record cold in some places, not Billings, but let me show you just how cold it was today up at Cutbank. Yeah, their low temperature was 1 degree. The old record was 15 degrees, so we just blew the doors off that. Great Falls, a new record also. Their old record was 22. As you see here, they had 9 degrees for the overnight low. Of course, here in Billings, we were at 28 degrees. But let me show you right now, Doppler radar shows some scattered snow showers following the jet stream out of the southwest and moving right through Billings and right on up towards Jordan and Glasgow area. You'll notice in the southeast corner of the state, we do have a winter weather advisory until midnight tomorrow night. 2 to 4 inches of snow are expected in that area. And as you'll see here, our high-resolution forecast model shows we'll continue to see these scattered snow showers off and on throughout the evening. And then even tomorrow morning could see a little light scattered snow showers there and a lot of rain in the eastern edge of the state. But eventually by Wednesday afternoon, high pressure starts moving in, sunny skies starts pushing all that stuff into the Dakotas, and the whole thing starts to spin out of our area. We'll have more on the rest of your forecast ahead. We are going to be talking about a nice number, like, 70s. We'll talk about that in a few more minutes. Russ?
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, no matter what kind of storm it is, snow, hurricane, wind, ice, or fire, there's usually a reporter or meteorologist in the worst weather telling you that you shouldn't be there. Tonight, MTN's Curtis Grevnitz finds out what Montana offers to make sure your trips are safe.
Yours truly was that meteorologist that drove into the worst of this record-breaking snowstorm, reporting from Browning and Cutbank, where blizzard conditions dropped nearly 4 feet of snow. Trusty photographer John Riley and I did not just go for a Sunday joyride on a whim. It was dangerous, cars were off the road, but it was a decision planned out and prepared for. Up until the morning of, we were in direct contact with the Montana Highway Patrol and the Department of Transportation about road conditions and our intent of travel. Had either office told us not to drive because of the adverse weather conditions, we would have heeded their warnings. Fortunately, we were privy to the anticipated weather. The vehicle we drove had four-wheel drive with studded snow tires and plenty of ground clearance to get through the snow. The vehicle was equipped with a winter survival kit, an emergency medical kit, and we were not traveling alone. And there really is merit to slow and steady wins the race. Our purpose for travel was to share not only the dangers of the weather conditions, but to help disseminate information on the worst of the storm to those that may intend on traveling. What roads were closed, how bad it really was, and when would conditions improve for safer travel were the messages we were trying to relay. Much thought and preparation went into our personal safety, but also the safety of you, our viewers. And now, you're a little more weather-wise.
Well, missing and murdered people in Bighorn County, the focus of a new task force. The recent disappearance and subsequent death of 18-year-old Sarah Stops Pretty Places marked the 27th woman to go missing out of that county. And that's something the County Attorney Jay Harris wants to end. He says the Bighorn County Missing and Murdered Persons and Investigation Task Force will involve active case studies and policy review by agencies at all levels, from local and tribal all the way to state and federal partners. The Bighorn County Attorney's Office is also taking over all investigations within the county related to suspicious deaths. Harris says the motion has the support of the Bighorn County Sheriff, and the Board of Commissioners is looking to enact a resolution declaring its support. Montana Governor Steve Bullock is praising a D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals decision that upholds Montana's net neutrality protections. That decision keeps the Federal Communications Commission from being able to preempt state laws. Bullock was the first governor to take action in the wake of the FCC's decision to repeal net neutrality rules, which would have allowed companies to charge more for faster internet service. Several other states have since followed. In a statement, Bullock said the circuit court decision confirms that states can protect their citizens when the federal government fails them. Well, just a little while ago, Governor Bullock made a stop at Montana State University. The reason? To tour one of the campus's most historic buildings that's being renovated. Governor Bullock's visit here at Romney Hall has, according to MSU leaders, been a long time coming. Romney Hall is in the middle of a massive $32 million renovation project, upgrading its size, its classroom spaces, and overall service to students and faculty across campus.
They won't remember any of the legislators who stood up and said, let's do this. They won't remember the governor, but we'll have made an investment in the future of this state and all that it can bring.
That building has been around since 1922 and has largely stood unusable for years. The university is still working to raise the rest of the money to finish it. A Bozeman resident, Cora Newman, announcing her run for the U.S. Senate this morning. Newman is running as a Democrat, joining Wilmot Collins, John Muse, and Michael Chantry Knowles in the 2020 primary race, with hopes of taking on incumbent Republican Senator Steve Daines. Newman calls herself a public health leader and says she'll fight to lower the cost of health care and prescription drugs, and is a supporter of public land protections. She cites her experience spearheading the Global First Ladies Alliance and work at the State Department in preparing her to represent Montanans in Congress.
Bring to this race 20 years of experience in federal and international policy. I have a strong record of working, as I said, across party lines to get things done. I've always brought my Montana values with me wherever I go in my work in D.C. and around the world.
Newman says she will not take corporate political action committee money for her campaign. Now, we reached out to Senator Daines' office for a response, but didn't hear back. We've got some good news out of Stevensville today. Casey Blanchard, one of the victims in a shooting that took place back in March, back at work for the first time since that tragic night. It's been a long road to recovery, but as of yesterday, Blanchard is back at work for U.S. Diesel Parts. The company posted this photo of Blanchard on its Facebook page. The comments section is filled with well wishes and congratulations from the community. Blanchard, you'll remember, was shot 8 times back on March 14th. Bullets shattered bones and ripped through internal organs, leaving him in a wheelchair. That shooting left 2 others dead and Trooper Wade Palmer seriously injured. And there is more news from across our state tonight. One Glacier National Park business dealing with the aftermath from the early season blizzard. That story and more on the statewide MTN News at 9 o'clock on the CW. But first, still to come on tonight's 5:30 News, this kid is showing his true colors at his school, and it's all for a good cause. We'll meet him. And later in sports, this West High golfer has won every single tournament she's entered this year. But will she finally claim a state title? Her thoughts on the way.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.